I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. Yeah.
Young Nicholas.
What's up, Wes?
What would be the name of the autobiography of your life?
Confused.
Just Confused? A Nick Fryer story?
Confused, the story of a young man who had no idea what the hell he was doing.
Okay, that's pretty good. I put you on the spot like that.
I don't know why I'm getting good at this.
For the listeners at home, I do not tell Nick these questions that I like to come off the top of the show with.
The casting one last time where you asked who would play me in a movie,
right?
The Ryan Reynolds one. That one I'd kind of dealt with before. So
sure,
So I mean that one. This one though was totally.
I'd like
unique.
to amend my answer. I think I had not Ryan Reynolds, maybe like Ryan Gosling or Vince Vaughn on there. I would want to switch that to Jason Sudeikis.
Okay, I can 100% buy
I think
into
that's
that.
more accurate. I heard a podcast with him recently, and I was like, okay, this is my guy here.
Yep, he could pull off your personality for sure.
Yeah, I think I could pull off his personality too.
I think you do.
I think we could be one and the same.
I think you guys are one and the same.
Yeah, we could be.
I think he's a paler version of you.
A paler?
Yes.
Wow, that's a high compliment to me.
Yeah, or maybe I'm thinking of Ed Helms as being a little bit paler.
Ed Helms could do it as me as well. A lot of people in college used to call me Ed Helms from The Hangover. What's his name? Stu?
Stu.
Yeah.
I could kind of see that, but I feel like Ed Helms is a poor man's Sudeikis.
Oh no! See, I don't see them crossing paths at all. But do you want to ask me what?
Yes, I figured you were just going to say it unwarranted or unquestioned, I guess. But yeah, go ahead, please.
So these were a couple quotes that I found on the internet that I thought summed it up nicely. Of course, in my real life, I'm a writer. Fiction writing is great. You can make up almost anything. That'll be a nice title.
Okay.
That's from the first daughter, Ivanka Trump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
yep.
Very nice.
Mm.
How about this one? It's only puffy when it's swollen.
That would be the title of your autobiography.
Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. Who's that from?
That's from former baseball player Charlie Huff when he was talking about his broken finger.
Charlie Huff.
Yeah. He's an old school guy. I recognize the name. Couldn't tell you what position he played or who he played for.
Yeah, I don't recognize that name at all.
And the last one up for consideration is they underestimated me.
They misunderestimated me.
Yeah. George W. Bush.
I think that's perfect. Yes, one of the great minds of our lifetime.
That's a pretty good one, right?
Yeah, I could buy into that. What about you, Tim? Do you have a title for your biography or life story or whatever? Your mic's on. Don't worry. I'm leaving it on the whole show.
I don't have anything. No. Usually it's up to the publisher to decide the title.
I think that's a good title. I don't have anything. No.
The publisher usually makes those determinations.
Well, how about this? How about you sit on it, and then we'll come back at the end of the episode and see if anything comes.
That might be a good title.
How about you?
The Fonzie story.
The Tim Weisberg story. Sit on
Potsy, written by Potsy.
I don't have anything. Happy Days. You didn't like that one?
No, I think that one could work. But I think there's a lot of layers to Tim Weisberg.
I think so.
So I don't think there's nothing going on. I think there's a whole lot.
So that's why it wasn't that funny. All right, fine. I guess it wasn't a good joke. All right, fair enough.
I'm still going with it's only puffy when it's swollen. The Wesley Sykes story.
I like the George W. Bush one.
Yeah, that one's a little bit more appropriate. But as far as obscurity goes, that one kind of hits close to home to me. Welcome back, episode 8.
Episode 8.
Yeah,
yes.
I had a little bit of a hiatus. Happy to be back here.
Glad to have you back.
Nick, you told me you went to Florida. However, you don't look like you have a tan at all.
If you look at the rest of my arm, you'll see that there's a little bit of a tan.
There's a little bit of a tan.
I mean, I was there for a week. I was in the press box a lot of the time.
I would have been hanging out shirtless in that press box.
Well, you probably wouldn't have got much of a tan anyways.
Pop that top off.
Still wouldn't have got much of a tan.
I think the fluorescent lights have a lot of UV rays down in Florida.
I don't think so. And I think you probably would have got kicked out of that press box too.
Well, it's Florida. No shirts, no shoes, right? That's the no shoes nation.
I've never heard of that before.
I thought that was a country singer.
I always thought that Florida was just the
no shoes nation.
Not the armpit of America, but the RV capital of America. That's what it is.
The RV capital.
I think armpit's correct too.
Yeah.
You were there for how long?
Have you been to Lubbock, Texas? Though
I have not.
Lubbock, Texas is the armpit of America.
How long were you
I'll stand
in
by
Florida for?
Is that Texas A&M?
No, Texas Tech.
Okay.
We opened up there my freshman year. I was there for a week. Yes, sorry.
I was there for like a day, and that was more than enough for me. I don't know how you do an entire week.
Well, I mean, I spent the whole time there, at JetBlue Park. I wasn't in
That's true.
Florida.
You're not actually experiencing. You know what's weird about that town? And maybe it's not. I've heard it's actually all of Florida, not just that town. Like every store, if you just go another couple of blocks, it's there again.
Pretty much.
It's like it's like you have deja vu as you're driving.
It's like time is a flat circle.
Pretty much.
And everywhere you go, you're just in the same place over and over again doing the same things.
I feel like this show's a flat
This
circle.
is getting very deep.
No, we're not going deep again today. We went 2.5 hours worth last time.
That was pretty good.
Wasn't that long?
It was like 2 hours, an hour 45 minutes, I think, last time. It's a double episode. We needed it because we knew something was going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I think you guys, put up a good showing.
Oh, did you have any critiques from?
No, I thought it was pretty good for what I listened to. I didn't listen to the whole thing. That's quite a slow burn.
He couldn't even listen to the whole thing. And I know for a fact he listens to the entire thing at least twice every time he's on.
No, not twice. That's crazy.
That's not what Jules told me.
Wow, jeez. We're going to have a little chat when we get home then. But the chat we're going to be having today is about Captain Marvel. Like
true.
every other pop culture podcast over the last couple weeks. But, we would not be one if we didn't do that, right?
Yeah, and it's a big deal, too. I think it was, I don't want to get into it quite yet. We got a few other things that we got to touch on, but you have to hit on this. It was such a huge build-up coming into the movie.
Absolutely.
I think everybody's had enough time to see it that would want to listen to this show. So, yeah, I think that I'm excited about this today.
Yeah, it should be fun. Like I said, episode 8, the Change My Mind podcast. Hopefully you're following along on our YouTube stream via WBSM 1420 AM. I got that down.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Didn't stumble over the words
didn't want
or
to cut
anything.
you off, and you can find everything else on Twitter.
No, but you had the look in your eye. Don't screw this up.
I was just waiting to see how far you're going to go.
You're waiting for it. You're waiting. I felt it.
And of course, they can find us on Twitter at Change My Mind Pod.
Of course. Yeah. So, So let's get right down to it. Before we get into Captain Marvel, we got an Avengers Endgame trailer, the first official one that dropped.
That's right.
It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds of just like blast your nips off.
There were a couple things that stood out in the course of it to me. I think I've seen the trailer twice. Obviously, the big thing that everybody loved and was gushing over was Captain Marvel and Thor.
Right, that last little stinger.
What was it? They're 5 seconds on camera together. It's just electric. I'm buying it.
Thor's kind of sizing her up real quick, kind of staring her down. She's staring daggers right back at him. You got Mjolnir flying right by her face.
But then once
exactly.
Once that happens, then it's like I'm not sizing you up to fight you anymore.
Right, and these are two of arguably the strongest heroes in the MCU, kind of going toe to toe. All right, what are you about? And
I think it's them and
Hulk maybe's in that conversation.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's those
Scarlet Witch maybe.
Oh, that's a good
she
point,
hasn't
Scarlet
really
Witch.
Blossomed into that yet. I think.
No, but we've seen that she's got quite a bit of power. You blow up an Infinity Stone, you're doing something right.
Right. Yeah. You're on track. You're on the fast track.
Are you in on a Thor Captain Marvel relationship?
Oh, see that sounds kind of good, but I'm kind of the ilk. Like I don't think they need a romance, and what I kind of like about the whole Marvel. What's that?
You want just some lust?
Some a little roll in the little romp around in the backyard or something. A couple of kids rolling around.
Yep, in the jet.
Okay with that. Yeah,
take it down and then dive bomb it into a bunch of Chitauri or whoever else they're going to be fighting.
Right. Turn the lights down low. Get a little boom chicka bow wow going on.
Yep.
Give them the old 1-2 skidoo. I hear you.
There's going to be nothing loving about that. I don't know what you'd call it without swearing.
Yeah, there would be a lot of
There's not
force.
loving, I'll tell you that.
There'll be a lot of force between that. A lot of cosmic entities flying around. I feel like
there you go.
Yeah, but I kind of like the fact that there's not a whole lot of relationships in the MCU between the superheroes.
Yeah, you have
because the Banner Black Widow thing kind of went away.
Yeah, well,
and I thought the whole thing with Vision and Scarlet Witch was just really
that's a thing though in the comics.
Yeah, but that was really lame and weird.
They didn't do a good job.
Because in the movie, she's supposed to be like a teenager, and like he's a robot.
I mean, yes, he's a robot. Yes, that is weird. But then he takes on this human, form and everything. So
which is also weird.
In the books, he's still a robot too. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just going off of what I've seen. If I read it in the comic books, I'd say the same thing.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Then I can buy into that.
But back to the Endgame trailer, though. You get a whole lot of action of Hawkeye and Ronin. Mm-hmm. He's kind of back in the feature, back in the fold. So I like that. I'm excited to see where they go with that.
You in on his hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the missus is too. She was a big fan of Ronin's hair. When I got my hair cut, I was like, you want me to go a little high and tight in there as well? But she said no. But it also goes back, like all the footage from that is kind of harkening back to some of the things that mean the most to the original Avengers. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was kind of cool because it's tying everything together, of course.
And the only thing in those black and white, the only other color in those black and white flashbacks was red.
The Soul Stone, perhaps, is that what it's alluding to?
The Soul Stone is not red.
I thought it was red.
I don't think it's red. No,
but in the realm, like it's all red.
Tim,
right?
if you could check on that real quick, the Soul Stone color, I'm like 98% sure that's orange.
Yeah, well then we're just splitting hairs. It's like a square and a rectangle.
The ether is red. I'm right on that.
Okay,
this is just straight up orange.
Just straight up orange.
Yes.
Well,
But
some people think orange is a lighter red.
Okay, and some people think cucumbers are better pickle.
Well, they might be one of the same people, but who am I to judge?
I remember somewhere I saw on Twitter that there was a thought that red is the most prominent color, or everything. I don't know, something to that effect when you're nearest death.
Oh,
I don't know what that's from.
Oh, I like that. Okay,
and I don't know if it's from the MCU. I'll think go with that. Is. But I saw. But you know what? Speaking of red, the one thing that stood out to me in the second view, well, actually in the first viewing of it, was Scarlet Witch's hair. Goes from, what is it, bleach blonde or white, whatever it is.
But there's white still at the bottom.
Exactly. I didn't notice that till the second time around, was you see that it kind of goes through some changes where it's not just this one big jump from bleach blonde or white to red. So I'm curious, how the hell does that happen? And who's her hairstylist? Because I want to know how I can avoid, or how I can make sure that happens whenever I go white.
Yeah, that's good. Well, see, I can just tell you just got to let it go.
Just let it go.
Yeah, it's very distinguished on the man like that.
No, but I get that. But if she can get it to come back like that and it's natural, I'm curious. I wouldn't mind testing it out.
A good hairstylist. I'm sure she can get you in touch with the right person there. Speaking of the females here, we hear a woman's voice that comes over while they're flashing back to everything, and it says, "The best we can do is start over," which leads me to believe that this movie is, in fact, a time-traveling movie, kind of confirming a lot of people's suspicions, things that we've talked about in this podcast before. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you also kind of see later on where the whole Avengers assemble in the Avengers facility hangar, and they got the white suits on, which I believe is the Quantum Realm suits.
Probably.
Which goes along with another toy leak. It proves another toy leak is, once again, factually correct. So if you want to look up toy leaks... they tend to be the real deal, like Marvel toy leaks.
Why did they have to show us Tony Stark on Earth, and Nebula for that matter?
I had a buddy who was upset about that, but you have to imagine at some point that they were going to come back anyway. Like they weren't just going to die and spend the whole movie up in the Benatar. Like they have to reunite at some point.
I don't know. Maybe they could reunite, but they could reunite in space. We don't know where it's going to happen. So I would.
Well, exactly. You still don't know how they get back there.
No, but I know they're going to get back there.
But you had to know they had to get back there at some point.
No, they didn't have to get back there at some point. He could have stayed out in space. They could have fought in space, gone after Thanos, and then they die in space. So no, they didn't have to go back on Earth.
Well, that sounds like a bad movie to me.
Well, I mean, if that's the whole movie, then yeah, it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that took 5 seconds for me to explain it. So yeah, who would pay to see that? But if they found a way to incorporate that into everything else, then it might be good still.
Yeah, it could be. It sounded like you just described Gravity.
Oh man, that's George Clooney and Sandra Bullock.
Correct.
Yeah, there we go.
That was good. That's good right there.
I think that I saw it's still all the stuff we've seen in the trailers are still like the first 15 minutes or first half hour of the movie.
Yeah, and that's what Kevin Feige has said. But you know what though? Like there's been like Kevin Feige and Marvel, they're doing this really weird marketing
campaign.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
where they're like giving out this information and then misinformation and going onto like Reddit threads and posing as anonymous users and throwing out like to throw people off.
If they said that, they're definitely going on.
Well,
Reddit.
okay, so if that rumor is out there, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It's doing its job because we're talking about it right now, and it's like playing that mind game within our head. So it's already working. Like it doesn't matter if they're actually doing it or not. All they have to do is just leak it.
Fair enough.
Which again, I think is good because there's so much hype around this. I think it's a great way to build up even more hype without necessarily giving away spoilers or things like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's fair.
More news. James Gunn.
Yeah.
We got a double barrel James Gunn news here.
James Gunn is still directing Suicide Squad.
Yes.
And he is now back with Disney in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think the latter is the bigger portion of the news.
Of course, yes. Yeah, well, we've known about the Suicide Squad thing for a little bit, but the Guardians news was huge. And I also saw in the course of it, too, and I don't know how true this is or not, that apparently Disney didn't interview any other directors in the course of it.
He had wrote the script already, right? So it's like...
Yeah, but you still wouldn't think you'd have... you're going to talk to Taika Waititi at least? Because that's the guy who we all thought was going to take over.
Yeah.
But apparently it was Gunn. Like I guess they thought...
Well, it worked out perfectly. I thought this was just too much of a... what's the word I want to use? Mob mentality and a reaction to it. Obviously, what he said was really dumb, but he didn't carry out those acts.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about that over the weekend, right?
If he carries out the acts, obviously a huge difference.
Yeah, he was stupid. What he said was stupid. I don't think the guy deserves to lose his job, though.
No, it's... when I first saw it, I was like, man, you can't say stuff like that. And I remember talking to my father about my brother, who are both big into this stuff, too. And they were like, well... Like he just wrote the stuff. They were bad jokes or, whatever.
Yeah.
You got to move past things like that. I mean, people say dumb, and it was from years ago too. That's the other thing.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm not I'm not saying those jokes that I would make or that we would make on this podcast necessarily.
No.
But like, at some point, we gotta let
they're
people
kind of odd.
The thing with a lot of characters too is they're not always good people originally. I know the ones that I like. We talked about this kind of last time. Not to retread what we talked about 2 weeks ago, but
really unzipped you there last week.
Yeah, he did. But characters who are flawed or go through traumatic experiences or villains in some way beforehand, and then they come back to be something awesome. Wolverine was not a good dude before he became...
the anti-heroes.
Exactly. But they come back and they redeem themselves after doing terrible things. Now, I'm not saying what James Gunn did was a terrible thing. It was a regrettable thing. But like, at some point, we have to allow people to come back and forgive them to some extent. Oh, I thought you were itching to say something, Tim.
Well, no, I think this is puts him in an interesting position in regards to the Suicide Squad reboot, which will be a total reboot. I don't think it's a sequel or anything like that.
Well, based on the link that Tim sent us, it looks like it's going to be a total reboot.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, but they're still saying that Margot Robbie might be involved in it.
Right. Her and Jared Leto are both rumored. Only Idris Elba has been confirmed. But, the idea of having an anti-hero and a whole cast of anti-heroes here, and then you have someone like James Gunn kind of leading the helm who's been on both sides of it and is having a little bit of a redemption story of his own. Yeah, I think it's kind of fitting for him.
I'm not even remotely concerned about the quality of these next two movies. He's going to kick ass. This is what he does, and he's going to want to come back.
Suicide Squad, yeah, I'm not sure if that's a property that I would reboot so quickly.
I can
There's a lot of different ways I think he could have gone if you were DC.
I agree with that 100%. There are way more characters that you could have delved into, but that is still a good cast of characters that you could build off of. And I said it to you, I think a while back. I watched their animated movie, their most recent one, and I can't remember for the life of me what the name of it was. The Suicide Squad one was, but it was phenomenal. And I watched it and I was like, why didn't you do this in live action? I feel like you could have done the same exact thing, and I would have enjoyed it just as much.
Yeah.
Did it have a sense of humor and a sense of fun?
It did have a sense of humor. Sense of fun. Yeah, I'm sure it had that, but this was like some dark action and characters died and no one was safe throughout the course of it all.
Okay.
Like it was,
right.
I was the whole time I was like, oh, what's going to happen next? I have no idea which way this is going to turn. So it was much better than the, was it Snyder? who directed the Suicide Squad? No, someone else. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, with the Suicide Squad reboot under James Gunn's control has a expected release date of August 2021.
Okay.
So I think you could kind of ballpark Guardians Volume 3 somewhere around August 22, August 23, somewhere around there.
I don't think you'll have to wait that fast.
You don't think so? No?
You don't have to wait that fast?
No, you don't have to wait that long.
A year or two? Because I guess the script is done. It's just going through filming it.
It doesn't take nearly as long to film.
It's the editing, though.
Yeah, it's all that. So he could go and do what he needs to do and bang that out in like 45 to 90 days.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what has to be done.
But when that movie
post-production
would come
and all
out after Suicide Squad.
It all depends. It all depends on
I see what you're
how
saying.
much
It
they need
takes
to fast
45
track
days for Suicide Squad, say, and then another 45 days or so. I see. Yeah.
So it all depends on when they want to have it released in the
order of the MCU.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can go with that as well. Any other news you want to?
Well, I mean, the comics news.
Yeah.
I do want to get that before we get into your Stay Woke of the Week.
Let's do that.
Last week, I would have touched on this last week, but obviously we didn't have a show. Red Hood Outlaw came out. 32 came out last week. Little bit of a different turn for Jason Todd. I don't think he actually there were flashbacks, but in the course of of what took place this last issue, he never wore the Red Hood outfit, the new one. Obviously, that he's wearing not just the, I don't want to say traditional mask, but you guys who follow along know what I'm talking about. I like the idea of this. He's kind of taking on a crime boss kind of role a little bit more. I'm interested to see how this keeps going. I'll tell you what, dude. Tim, you talked about it a couple weeks ago, how he just will yell at Batman and Batman just takes it. He did that in this issue, and it was freaking awesome.
He yelled at Batman?
He
raised his voice?
Oh, I mean...
Get out of town.
He went at him, dude. He went at him. It was good. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It lasted like, I think, a full 2 pages, and it's just like this long thing. Like every panel was just him calling him out for something or another.
Stuff that was building up.
So if this was like a 2019 version of Red Hood and Batman, it would just be like a novel text, just like firing off furious thumbs.
I guess so.
Texting in all
this
caps.
This does take place in 2019. I would.
Oh, it does.
Think. Yeah, it's not a flashback.
Well, I don't know. Who knows? It could be an alternate universe.
Now, the other thing that I teased to you, Wes, before the show was there is a trade that's coming out this week that I think you will be interested in, based on a conversation that we had.
A trade?
A trade, which is like a collection of comics.
Okay.
As opposed to a graphic novel. I guess you could technically call it that, but based on my interactions, I think trade is the proper term. But it's the same thing in the end, realistically. So there's Boom and Kaboom, I think. Or Boom Studios. They're all the same friggin' thing.
Okay.
They carry the Power Rangers. Okay, so they have Go-Go Power Rangers and they have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I think that's it.
I was more of a fan of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, but I think Go-Go has the same characters.
Okay.
Because I think the idea is, because remember in the show, it's Go-Go Power Rangers is the song.
Right, but I thought they were the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
They were, but I think it's playing off their theme song. Anyways,
okay, all right, yeah, we're getting hung up here.
I'm not reading. I haven't read either one of them yet, but I know this trade that came out is called Shattered Grid, and it basically is when Tommy Oliver, obviously the Green and White Ranger, in an alternate reality, he has the powers of the Green Ranger still, and then also absorbs the powers of the White Ranger.
Oh.
And the green powers never go away. So he becomes this all-powerful ranger.
Like a light green. Like a Kelly Green Ranger?
He just has an outfit that's got green and white on it.
Oh, okay.
So he turns into this,
like a Winter Green Ranger.
The ultimate villain.
There we go, Winter Green Ranger.
Winter Green Ranger. There you go.
Yeah.
He turns into the
Wintry fresh.
ultimate villain, though, and by everything that I've heard and read about it, because I don't want to get too many spoilers from it.
Okay.
It's friggin' awesome, and I've been waiting until this comes out to get in on it. So that's something you may want to.
Yeah, 8-year-old Wes is rock hard right now. Very excited for that.
Is 30-year-old Wes at all interested?
Well, 31-year-old Wes,
31.
but yeah.
Be careful you don't get fired like James Gunn.
I know, that was an in poor taste joke. Thank you for reminding me of that.
But don't let him give you too much crap about what you say.
I was just about to say this. Tim, I heard you dropped a couple of S-bombs.
Yeah,
listen, things got deep.
it's the radio professional screws up a little bit as well.
The S-bombs got real.
Yes.
Okay. The S-bomb got real.
Yep.
Turned into a D-bomb. Did things kind of break down a little bit? Break apart?
A D-bomb?
Yeah, a little loose.
You don't have to say D-bomb.
You
can say diarrhea on the radio.
I don't know.
That's okay.
Okay. I didn't know where you were going with that. But
Tim did. Tim knew.
Yeah.
My man Tim's got me.
I could tell. But yeah, so Shattered Grid comes out this week, the trade. For those who are looking for something new to read,
I like that. That's a good
by
choice.
all accounts, this is awesome.
I love it.
And I'll be reading along with everybody else too. So Wes, what do you have for me to stay woke about?
Okay, well, it starts with this is a little bit of a sad story.
Okay.
But it's all coming from a good rooted place. So, stay woke of the week. All dogs go to heaven. That's it. That's my stay woke of the week. 2 weeks ago,
Oh, jeez.
I missed part of the I missed the episode. Had a last minute emergency I had to deal with. But before that, earlier in the afternoon, my family put down my family's dog, the golden retriever, Huckleberry, 15 years old. He was dealing with all sorts of things going on, and we think it was cancer. He had a whole bunch of tumors. He's just old. He's 15 years old, you know. So we had this one great last day with him. Took him to the beach. Couldn't get up. You know, was kind of like paralyzed at that point. So we called a dog euthanizer that came to the house. Very nice lady. Terrific bedside manner. And gives him 2 shots, right? So this was right around like 4 or 5 o'clock, so the sun's kind of setting. But it was overcast the whole day. Sun didn't shine at all. But we were in the living room, and there's this like bay view window there. So the doctor gives the first shot. It kind of like numbs the pain. Dog's awake, but just doesn't feel anything. And then the second shot puts him out. So first shot setting in, we're saying our goodbyes to him, we're petting him. And as she's injecting the second shot, we're all right around him. And all of a sudden, through this Bayview window, the sun breaks through. And like the last moment before my dog's eyes close, these rays, like I could feel it. It's like heat. It's like warmth. Like it was like crazy. It was like an out of body experience. And we look up and we all kind of like felt it. And the lady, the euthanizer lady, says he's gone. And then the sun went away. You could just see the beams. Just for those, like, it was like 30, 40 seconds, maybe a minute tops. It felt like forever.
Yeah.
But it was like he was getting carried off up into the heavens. Like, it was like, I was like blown away. And like, Tim might be able to speak to this a little bit. Like, I'm a huge believer in ghosts and, you know, the paranormal.
Yeah.
But nothing's ever, like, I've never really experienced anything that I could go back to and like maybe that was a moment.
This is the closest thing.
This was the closest thing to it. And it's like when you're like I can't explain it, but there's like a warmth that comes over you. The sun, like literally like huge bright beams just coming like right into the light. And then he was gone.
Wow.
Unbelievable, right?
It's like the heavens opened up to accept him in.
Yeah.
That is so weird. Tim, have you heard of anything like that before?
I mean, it doesn't sound all that unfamiliar with when people have,
Right.
you know, these experiences of going into the light. It just so happens that you could all see it too. Maybe because the dog couldn't. You know, maybe because the dog didn't have the comprehension, so you were kind of all there to experience it for him.
You know, and it was definitely like a heavy emotional moment, and that just kind of brought some levity and some like kind of peace to the whole situation.
I appreciate you sharing that story. I know that was not easy for you.
Yeah, no, you know, it's listen, I love that dog. You know, I had him since before I had my license. You know,
Yeah.
but he was an old dog. He had a full life. You know, this was probably the best thing I could have done.
Right. And then looks like he's in a better place.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it,
exactly.
and it sounds like
It's a
you
great
made it
dog.
as perfect as you could.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly. So it definitely sucks. Don't get me
All
wrong,
Dogs Go
but
to Heaven
All Dogs Go to
was
Heaven.
one of my favorite childhood movies.
a great movie.
Oh my God. I still love that. It's look, I mean, I don't know how well it holds up today. I think I watched it last maybe 3 years ago.
I have to go back and watch it tonight.
I love that movie. No matter what. Charlie. Oh God.
Yeah, it's good stuff right there.
Wait, Charlie
I was a big Air Bud fan.
Itchy?
Homeward Bound. So the characters I'd have to refresh myself with.
I know Charlie is the main character. He was not going to heaven though.
No,
No.
I was a big Homeward Bound fan. That was. You're
Yeah, I watched.
talking
watched
about
one
live
of them
action.
once.
That's live action.
Oh yeah, not this Lion King BS that we're getting fed. But that was an interesting change of pace.
Yeah, I know. I know it kind of screwed up the flow of that's why I apologize.
No,
but
come on, dude.
Let's get into the meat of the show here, huh?
Yes.
How about
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So first, Wes, did you enjoy the movie?
Hold on one second. I'm just making my notes here.
Yeah,
so
I forgot.
I can't do a couple things at once
Wes does
here.
the timestamp so everybody knows. So that way, when you listen, or you decide, you know what, I'm not going to listen right away this week, and you already heard all the news stuff, and you don't really want to hear it.
You just want to get to the meat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wes has you guys covered with all of that.
I'm trying to. Well, I appreciate the shout out here. Well, Captain Marvel is an extraterrestrial Kree warrior who finds herself caught in the middle of an intergalactic battle between her people and the Skrulls. Living on Earth in the year 1995, she keeps having recurring memories of another life as a U.S. Air Force pilot, Carol Danvers. With help from Nick Fury, Captain Marvel tries to uncover the secrets of her past while harnessing her special superpowers to end the war with the evil Skrulls. Or so we think.
Ooh.
This is getting a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. It's a 2-week box office total of $266 million in the U.S. and $760 million worldwide. It's the 13th highest grossing MCU film in North America, directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Flick. And to answer your question in a long, convoluted sense, Nick.
Yep.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Before we go any further, we are going to spoil the hell out of this movie.
Yes.
So if you have not seen it, unfortunately Tim hasn't seen it, so tough toenails for him. But if you have not seen it, keep that in mind as you go forward.
Did you?
Did like it.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you love it?
I would say that I loved it. I was stunned.
I didn't love it. I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Okay. Before we...
And that's okay.
That is okay. So the first thing that I think of, Wes, when this movie comes out, and I don't know if my mind should necessarily go this way, but it does, is, all right, how does it compare to Wonder Woman?
I think that's where everyone's first connection is drawn.
It's a comic book movie. It's a big deal. It's the first Marvel female-led movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Wonder Woman one was huge. That one did a 93% on Rotten Tomato and 88% audience score.
Highly overrated, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve a 93%. I don't think that movie's overrated. I did enjoy that movie very much. But Captain Marvel is absolutely, as a whole, a better movie than Wonder Woman.
Yes.
To be getting a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes is BS. And I don't know how closely you've seen this. I know I tend to follow some of these things a little bit more now. I'm seeing people review Captain Marvel on Rotten Tomatoes, and there are people who don't like it because she's a woman or these other BS issues.
But those are trolls. Like you can't pay attention to that.
But Wes, it affects the scores. I don't care about their opinions. It's their scores. If we're talking about
apparently, it was a much lower score, and then Rotten Tomatoes went in and cleared out all the bots, and that boosted it up a little bit. My problem isn't with the 79% Rotten Tomatoes score. My problem is with a 93% Wonder Woman score. That's where I think the error is. I think 79%, like I would have gave this like right around like an 82, 83.
I'd probably give
like
it
a B minus. So I don't think it's that far off. I think the 93 Wonder Woman is where I kind of have the issue.
I think I'd probably give Wonder Woman something along the lines of an 86, and I'd probably give Captain Marvel an 89. I think that, yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
But so where, okay, so to better frame this then, where does this rank? You know, this is the 21st MCU movie.
I knew you were going to ask me that question, and I forgot to look into that.
So if this was like 89... I think when we talked over the weekend, I'd say at least that this was like mid. Oh yeah, that's right.
When we talked, I hadn't seen it. Yeah,
I had right in the middle of the pack, like
definitely
Ant-Man,
towards
Doctor
the upper
Strange.
I have it definitely towards the upper third. I mean, when I saw this, I was thinking, is this in my top 5 favorites? I actually consider that.
No, it's not,
because I know that in my favorites, it's obviously Infinity War, Guardians. Then Thor as well. Not necessarily in this order right now, but I know these are...
Spider-Man maybe in there.
Spider-Man is not in my top 5.
No, really?
Absolutely not.
Huh.
Winter Soldier, Ragnarok, and then I don't know what... That's why I can't remember what my 5th is, and that's why I was like, is Captain Marvel in my top 5? And the recency bias, yes, it's something I'm definitely dealing with in the course of this. But I don't know. It might actually be in my top 5. So it's in your middle ground?
Yeah, I would say 10, 11, 12.
See, part of why I
Right
like
around
this
there.
is as much as she's going to play into the bigger scheme of things, it's an origin story, but it's not like all the other origin stories where we start from the beginning.
Right, it kind of jumps around, but I found that a little confusing at times.
Kind of like a callback to what you were talking. You said you watched Other Guys over the weekend.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that gets in trouble for the scaffolding issue in that movie? Do you remember the actor's name?
Oh no, I don't.
You know who I'm talking about, though,
yeah.
right? He's the guy that ends up being like not the main villain, but kind of. He's like the lead villain, I guess.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he says at one point to Will Ferrell and
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg's character that I'm going to tell you the story, but I'm going to start from the middle, then go back to the beginning, and then periodically make my way towards the end, and then come back to the middle again. That's kind of what this was.
Right, and I thought that was an interesting sense, but I did kind of have a skewed up perception of when things were taking place. Really? At times.
I didn't feel that was the case.
No, it's not major. It's just
I felt like
now I had to like remind myself. Okay, now they're jumping back. Okay, now it's forward. Now we're back.
Did you watch this movie with under any influence of anything?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I thought we established that right off the book.
You do it every time.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was every time.
Yeah.
I don't. That's why. I mean, that's because I don't do that ever. But like.
Well, yeah. Well, it's legal now in Massachusetts. Maybe you should open up your mind a little bit.
Nah, never done it before.
Okay,
Not my thing.
Yeah. You never know. If you haven't done it before.
Everybody you know what, Wes? There are just certain things that would lead me to believe that would be a very, very bad decision for me. And it would lead to a lot worse things.
Well, I would say the lawmakers of Massachusetts would disagree. But this is a completely different conversation that we're turning into.
I thought we were talking about Captain Marvel.
Yes, we are. We're supposed to be.
Oh, we're not anymore?
No, I
got confused because we started at the middle and then worked our way towards back to the beginning.
Right. I think we worked in Mary Jane Watson somehow into the fold. And I'm like,
that was before the
Spider-Man coming on.
We were talking about Tim's crushes growing up. Mary Jane Watson. Who was the other one, Tim?
Clearly
Starfire.
Someone who doesn't understand the reference that I just made because you've never done it before.
Wait a minute, now I'm confused. What
Mary Jane.
Oh,
a euphemism.
Yeah.
A common euphemism for the flower that we were just discussing on the radio.
I thought we were making another callback to prior to the show.
Right. No, that was one too many callbacks there. This is talk about hopping back and forth.
And if you're listening now and you're still with us, then you have passed the Captain Marvel test because that was the whole idea.
That means you're smarter than I am under the influence of Mary Jane.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Oh man. Anyways, so that part confused you in the course of the whole thing.
A little bit. No, it didn't like hold me up or anything. I just remember having to be like, okay, this is where we are. This is a flashback, and then blah 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 blah. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay.
I thought it was a little slow though. That was my main critique of the movie, especially in the beginning.
You thought it was slow?
Yeah, it didn't come out and really grab me. And then once Ben Mendelsohn came on the screen, and he kind of had that shift, that little twist there, where you find out that the Skrulls aren't really the bad guys. They're pseudo good guys who just want a home. And it's the Kree who are the bad guys, which really should have kind of tipped you off when you see Korath and, what's his name? Ronan playing along with Jan Log, Jude Law's character. Mm-hmm. They're all kind of... So you should have kind of known that they were bad guys, but...
Some people didn't, though.
It didn't jump out at me right away.
I was with my dad in the theaters when I saw it, and he was like, oh, isn't Ronan supposed to be a good guy in this? And I was like, he's on her side this movie, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. I mean, I knew next to nothing about Captain Marvel going into this.
Right.
But
I think a lot of people did. So I think,
I know a little bit about the Skrulls, though. And I knew that the Skrulls were not as... dangerous as they were being let on. Yeah, they were not as dangerous. I mean, sure, you can go with misunderstood. I'm fine with that.
Favorite character? Do you have a favorite character of the movie?
I think it was Captain Marvel, 100%.
Oh yeah,
yeah. She was funny. She's kind
of a smart ass. Like, I don't think she was like funny. Like, not like
I like a smart ass.
Yeah, but like when I think funny, like I'm thinking like Thor Ragnarok funny. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's goofy funny. Yes.
Yeah. She was more like, I'm better than you, and I'm gonna like talk shit to you while I do it.
Well, I think we saw that through the struggles that she's gone through, that she's been told countless times how she's not better than everybody else.
Right.
So now she doesn't care, and she's going to continue to say that, put off this tough exterior.
Yeah.
So that way you can't tell her that she's not better than you, because she's already saying that she is better than you.
Right. I think my favorite character, the aforementioned Ben Mendelsohn, Talos.
It's a good pick.
Unbelievable. I thought he was pretty funny. I thought he offered a lot of comic relief. I thought he really picked up where the movie's, right towards the end of that first act where things are kind of slowing down. Mm-hmm. He kind of picked it up and kind of brought it all back together and kind of kept me into it. And I thought he did a good job of playing that anti-hero and then turning into that kind of like good guy role.
Yeah.
But it wasn't kind of like your typical, I'm a bad guy, I'm just going to shoot you and kill you. Like, he had some, like, layers to him, which I thought was kind of cool. Did not like Jude Law. Thought he kind of mailed it in.
I feel like a lot of people just don't like Jude Law in general as an actor.
Yeah, I like Jude Law. I got nothing against him. But, in this one, I just didn't think it worked out all that well. Like, he was supposed to be this, like, loud, I'm going to yell at you, and I'm the bad guy, and make you feel bad about yourself.
I felt like he was pretty meh.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he took away from the movie a ton, though. I felt like it was so focused on her and her growth and development and everything.
It didn't take away from the movie. I just thought he was, for Jude Law, like, that's a big name. It was kind of underwhelmed by his performance.
The twist in the whole thing, I think, initially helped kind of cause me to ignore his whole performance in the course of things, because at first I thought he was fine, and I thought he was just an annoying like leader and everything, trying to push her, blah blah blah. But yeah, in the end, I guess if you think about it, I think he was fine. I wouldn't say he took away from the movie, but I don't think he added anything to the movie.
Now his gun, or the thing on his wrist that he had that could freeze Captain Marvel and kind of like freeze her in space or whatever, like in the air. I don't know what that was. But that was the only thing that seemed to overpower Captain Marvel. Like, she was too powered.
That was the only that was, I think, before.
And it just like slowed her down. Like, it didn't even really do anything to her.
I think that was before she unleashed everything, was it not?
No, because there was like, even in the final fight, he kind of gets caught up in it.
Well, the second to last fight, because the final fight, he ends up trying to talk her into fighting hand to hand. It's like, okay, bro, we're not messing around here. I was thinking, okay, when that happened, that final scene where she just blasts him into the rock pile or cliffs, whatever that is. Did you think she was going to do that, or did you think she was going to actually try and fight him hand to hand?
No, I think that kind of made sense, and it would just be like a quick thing. Like, I thought that worked out.
It made sense. It was the right move, but what did you think was going to happen in the course of that?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Like, I'm not sure if I really had a thought at that moment.
I keep forgetting that.
I was just kind of letting things kind of come at me at that point.
You see, I don't like to know what's happening beforehand, partially because I like to make as many predictions as I can.
But in the moment, it's tough to do that and absorb what's going on and then break it down, but still follow along what's happening on the screen.
I don't find that to be the case. I think my mind just bounces around.
And while I'm still shoveling popcorn in my mouth by like the biggest handful.
I think you have another element that you're kind of working against in the course of a film.
Well, that's all perception. Am I working against it, or am I just opening up another door?
I think if you can't do something in the course of watching a movie, I think it's
I think that you should not talk about things that you have no experience with.
You're going to start quoting Aldous Huxley to you very soon. So.
If I knew who that was, I would quote that right now.
The Doors of Perception.
Oh, no, that doesn't help me either.
Wow.
By the way, in the course of
I'm sorry.
In the course of our conversation, I had the list of all the MCU movies pulled up, and Captain Marvel might be in my top 5.
Wow.
She really might be. I have to.
I disagree, but that's a bit of a hot take, I think.
It is a hot take.
Yeah,
but it's not like. But at the same time, I'm not just putting nothing behind it. I'm really trying to think about it. My top 4 are Ironclad with Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Thor Ragnarok, and Winter Soldier. Ironclad.
See, I like Black Panther. I like Spider-Man. I think I like Civil War. I like both Guardians more than this.
I'll tell you what, I know
both Ant-Man's more than this.
I know that I like Captain Marvel more than Black Panther, and I liked it more than Spider-Man. 100%.
See, yeah, Spider-Man, I just don't. Spider-Man meant a lot to me, so that's where I'm
Why did it mean a lot to you?
That was one of my favorites. That was one of my favorite superheroes growing up.
I liked him a lot as a kid, too, but did you not like any of the Tobey Maguire stuff? Did you not like?
It just wasn't a great Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Tim, that you saw those movies. How old were you? You were in your 20s, right?
The Tobey Maguire ones, yeah.
Yes, you were in your 20s, so it's a little different. Like I can understand from your perspective a little bit more. But Wes, how old were you when those came out?
High school kid. Yeah.
High school kid.
Yeah, early high school.
The first one I think came out.
I think so.
I think the first one came out like 2002.
I thought right about there. I thought the first one was
in ninth grade.
You were in ninth grade.
Yeah.
See, I feel like at that age, I couldn't necessarily go and say, "Oh, this is a good movie. This is a bad movie." Like, it's just Spider-Man on screen.
But going back now, I know it's what it is. Like, I loved it when it came out. Yeah. But when I go back and watch it, I'm like, yeah, this isn't that good.
I haven't gone back and watched it yet. In fairness,
I thought it was great, and I think I thought it was great because Spider-Man.
Which one are we talking about?
The first Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah, the first one was great too.
Because it had failed so much, Spider-Man, when they had tried to do big things with it before. So somebody finally got it right.
When you talk about the comic book movies that have really been a catalyst for this MCU, like I understand that Iron Man set everything in motion, no doubt.
But that was part of the plan.
Exactly. But you had Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was huge.
Sure.
The X-Men movies were huge, and I would say Blade played an important role in the course of it all too. So you look
I think you might be overplaying Blade's contribution.
I don't think it hurt.
I think a very small percentage of the people that watched that movie even knew Blade was a Marvel Comics character.
Fair point. Based on that logic, I agree with you. But even though they said it at the beginning of the movie, that is the only reason why. But otherwise, they were good movies that people liked. Mm-hmm. But the first two, X-Men and Spider-Man,
yeah, absolutely,
100% were pivotal in the course of it. Yeah. So that's why I'm not so quick to knock. As much as Tobey Maguire is not the best
movie
Spider-Man.
was great, but Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man there has been. I don't think anyone's played a better Peter Parker / Spider-Man.
What about Peter B. Parker?
It's pretty good. Yeah. It's a pretty good one. One thing I wanted to get to before we got into before we wrap this up is we compared it to Wonder Woman right off the bat. I have this like semi take. I don't know how people feel about this. I find like Wonder Woman to be somewhat sexist, and then in comparing this to Captain Marvel, I think that just like further, solidifies my point on that, if I can get my words out.
Go ahead.
I also know that having two straight white males explain female empowerment roles sounds a little bit weird. Might be mansplaining a little bit.
This isn't mansplaining.
But bear with me. I know it's my opinion, but I just to the people out there.
Go ahead. Yep.
So on the surface, Wonder Woman is supposed to be this like big empowering movie, first female leading superhero role. But, like, her only weakness is to Steve Trevor, a man who she just met for the first time. Like, and she pretty much lets the Holocaust happen after she dies. She just goes into, hiding and doesn't do anything to stop it. And then, World War II happens that she could have shifted. And then that all gets brought up again in Justice League. And, like, for a woman that's supposed to be so strong and so powerful, to see her get so easily broken down by this guy that she like really just met, the first like man she ever meets, she falls for. Kind of weak.
Side by side comparison, it's a pretty interesting take and not a terrible one.
Captain Marvel,
kind of surprised.
There's no love interest in it whatsoever. The only time that she shows vulnerability is to Maria Rambeau, who is a single mother, who's her best friend, who also happens to mother a daughter as well, who plays a prominent role in this, who probably will play a prominent role later on in the movies as well.
Funny kid.
Yeah, she had a good role. But again, that's the only type of, like I said, vulnerability that you see from Captain Marvel, that she shows. Like, anytime she's dealing with a man, it's always like, I'm proving her wrong. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to, like, the whole suits, like, the Amazonians are just running around in, like, armored bikinis. It doesn't even make sense to me. I think I might have said this before on this podcast. Yeah, and then I don't even have to get into the angles and the shot angles of straight up, down, lower, but straight up angled shots at the butt and everything. Captain Marvel, there's none of that. She has got a full rubber suit on. There's like, she has a sense of sexuality to her and like sexiness to her, but it's not like overt or scantily clad or anything. It's kind of like an empowering woman sexuality.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
my debate, my counterpoint to your whole thing about Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman would be, Haven't there been instances in film or maybe literature too where a male character experiences a similar loss to someone who they feel so close to? And I understand the nature of how they met. It's weird that she would react that way. That's fine. But aren't there instances where we see characters traumatized from an experience like that after they develop a close relationship with someone and they go through some pretty stressful times, and we've seen that can bring people together.
Yeah, and I think that's a fairly common, trope or theme throughout, any sort of story that you see.
And it happens with males more often than not because we see males in lead roles.
Right, and more often than not, you're going to have, you look through literature and stuff, I think majority of the protagonists are going to be males more often than not. That's just an assumption, but I think that's might be safe to say there. But I think in regards to a woman who's supposed to be so strong and doesn't need anyone, doesn't have any real weaknesses or any real, you don't really know what her limitations are even as a superhero. Like, I don't know, can she fly? I don't know. She can do almost anything she wants, it feels like, right? And then just to be broken up by an average man, a soldier. Like, it seems like it defeats the purpose of what they're trying to accomplish, that this is the first female superhero getting their own solo movie.
But
and
don't we
yet
see it with Superman?
The only thing that breaks her down.
But see, the thing is, they do it with Superman too. They do it with Superman too, where he loses his mind over his mother.
But it's different, though.
When he comes back to life, what calms him down?
The relationship to a woman, of a woman to a man. Does that make sense?
Yep,
the relationship of a woman to a man is to humanize him. Right? Is to kind of bring out that softer side.
But that's the thing with her. She's not a normal human. She is an Amazon.
Right. So why is she even attracted to him to begin with? That should be like, you're inferior to me. You're below me. Get out of here. I got bigger fish to fry.
I don't know.
I got Ares breathing down my neck over here.
He wasn't breathing down her neck at that point, though.
No, but you know what I mean? Like,
it was a whole new world, and she was naive to everything and hadn't dealt with all this. I mean, it's not like they hadn't dealt with men before the Amazons. They had.
Well, she hadn't seen a man.
She hadn't dealt with it before.
Yeah.
So then somehow along the way, she fell for him or whatever. I mean, I see your point, but you talk about how they humanize a man when they bring in a woman. It's the same thing here.
No, I think it comes across as needy.
It's not necessary in the course of the movie. I'll give you that.
Well, yeah, I think it comes across when a woman looks to a man to fill a hole or void. In this case, Wonder Woman with Steve Trevor, like it comes across like almost like needy.
Or maybe the point is, love is the most powerful of all.
Yeah,
I guess, but I don't know. I just think that's like, I think the message of female empowerment gets lost in that in that sort of, I don't know, gray area of it all that Captain Marvel doesn't even talk about, and they just kind of jump over the issue in entirety.
Look, by comparison, if they can't come out at the same time, then I would say 100% Captain Marvel is better for female empowerment and everything. But I think if you focus on that one thing with Wonder Woman, you miss everything else that is all about female empowerment. She is a freaking badass warrior.
Who
goes through who goes through no man's land. No, the woman goes through no man's land like it's nothing, and then turns those guys into dust. And then she goes and she's jumping all over buildings and everything. And,
so
and
she
these
mourns
guys
for 20 years, and then the Holocaust happens.
Because love triumphs over everything. You can have all the power in the world
over mass genocide. It triumphs over mass genocide.
I guess I can't necessarily
not in that situation.
That may have been a bit of but isn't the next one supposed to be
84 Cold War?
Yeah.
It's 1984. It's not.
Well, they're saying the next one might be a little bit more tongue in cheek. Might be kind of Superman 3-ish.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Okay,
but I think Captain Marvel watched Wonder Woman, saw that, took the good things from it, left aside the love story, and then built upon it and was able to build upon it. Made a better female-led superhero movie.
What did you say you would give Wonder Woman roughly again? It was like low 80s for
no, that was Captain Marvel. Like
you'd give
80, 81.
Oh, and you'd give
Wonder Woman like a 74, 75.
75?
Yeah. I didn't like it.
I didn't love it either.
It's in the low 70s, yeah.
To say 75, you didn't like a what is the threshold in terms of like your percentage?
Well, I think any good movie is 70 or above.
Oh, okay.
It was an all right movie. It's a superhero movie, but like I don't think it was great. Like it was a low 70, maybe 72, 71.
I stand by my like 86, mid 80s ballpark.
Yeah, but then it's just like, what's the degrees of separation? So like Captain Marvel, like I think we all agree that Avengers Infinity War is like the bar set for superhero movies, and you have Captain Marvel at 89. And then you have 5 movies in between there. Yeah. And the list is only going to grow.
But I'll tell you what, I know.
So you're not leaving yourself a lot of room.
Well, first of all, have you ever heard of retconning scores?
Well, that's
you could do
kind
that.
of a cheap way to do that.
You could do that. But I mean, looking at mine right now, I know that I have an Infinity War at like a 98 or a 99 because you can't, I don't think you can give anything 100. It just doesn't exist.
Sure, yeah, okay.
And then I know that I have Thor. Like Thor, Guardians, and Winter Soldier are all within a percentage point of each other. If I was like, I think I have Thor and Winter Soldier both at like a 92. If I was gonna, and then I would have Guardians at probably a 94, and I would probably have Black Panther a little bit higher too. It's just I don't love Black Panther that it would be in my top 5 necessarily. Yeah. It's probably like a 90, maybe a 91, something like that. But anyways, my last thoughts on Captain Marvel. First of all, she should have gone with a neon lights outfit. I thought that was her best look.
I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
If I'm thinking about the 2 things that I like about, if we're going to again compare Wonder Woman to this, the 2 things that I like about Wonder Woman more than Captain Marvel, obviously Gal Gadot. Look, I prefer the company of a woman versus when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
And I find Gal Gadot more attractive. But
she's definitely a looker.
Although Brie Larson looked great.
She did.
And the action I actually prefer in Wonder Woman versus
you mean the lack thereof?
No, I prefer the action that is there. The action that, I'm not saying the amount of action. The action that actually takes place, I prefer in Wonder Woman because the cosmic, I know it's not science, but it's like it's kind of sciencey. Actually, no, it is science because the nature of how she gets her powers is through science. All that is just not my cup of tea. I'm not saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
But in comparison to what Wonder Woman's bringing to the table, where she's sliding around, she's using her sword, cutting someone up, and knocking away bullets, like that's more what I'm into.
I can see that.
And then my last thing was, I know that last little bit with Captain Marvel, at least this is what I assume, where she's falls down and she's only human and she's getting back up from when she was a little girl.
It's like the Gatorade commercial,
exactly,
which is cool. I like that.
I loved that sequence, and I'm sure that I know Brie Larson had some controversies with people beforehand. How who's this movie for and everything, and in that moment may have been specifically for women. If that's the case, that's fine. But I'll tell you what, I looked at that and said that is an inspiring moment.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty bad chills.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely got chills from that because it's a person who is constantly being told that you cannot do something over and over again, dealing with those external forces. And anybody who's been an athlete for an extended period of time has dealt with that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that moment.
Although
very much.
From the athlete's point of view here, the athlete gets told they can't do it, they can't do it, they can't do it. Brie Larson is the athlete. Then all of a sudden she gets charged up with a foreign substance and then suddenly can do anything that she wants here. So what message are we really saying?
Oh, man. It took me a second.
That's a quick spin zone there for you.
That was good. That was good. So basically, Captain Marvel is Barry Bonds, everybody.
Right, exactly. You, too, can be the home run king.
Yes.
Just touch the Tesseract real quick. But also, a couple things I just wanted to point out as we wrap up here. Really loved Maria Rambeau and her daughter. I thought that was great. The de-aged Nick Fury, Agent Coulson, also really good. Didn't bother me at all. Didn't have any flaws with that. And the aforementioned Tesseract. Those are like really the only connections to the outside MCU world, with Ronan and Korath still in that mix as well. But really, it's a self-contained movie. The 95, the mid-90s references I thought were a little on the nose too.
Soundtrack was good, though.
Soundtrack was good. Little on the nose. Yeah, like the I'm Just a Girl thing. Thought that was a good choice. But again, a little too on the nose.
Anytime you have
the Nirvana song, Come As You Are, when she's seeing Annette Bening's Marvell, who is perpetrating someone else. You know, like Come As You Are, like a little on the nose, but I liked it. You know, those are just minor.
Anytime you have Nirvana on a soundtrack,
yeah.
I'm all in.
Well, you know, I think if I was going to go with a song that summarized the 90s, it wouldn't be Come As You Are. It would be Smells Like Teen Spirit. But
yes, that's fair.
But, you know, I
don't
can't.
you think it may be a little overused? Maybe it's like
could be, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure that if that happened, we'd be sitting here right now and you'd be complaining about that.
You're right. Well, you know, you can trust that if I'm doing something, I'll find something to complain about it. What have you been watching?
Okay.
What's on your mind?
Do we want to do that first or 2v1?
Yeah, let's do what's on your mind, and we'll end with 2v1.
Okay. So normally I talk about just random things that pop up, but I actually was able to catch up on watching a few things recently because I had that trip down to Fort Myers.
Yeah.
And I had never seen the first live-action TMNT movie. I'm embarrassed to say that. The only one I had seen was the third one.
Oh.
So, yeah. Well, I was a little kid when I saw that.
The third one was good, though.
What?
The third one was good.
The second one was bad.
The second one's bad.
I thought the third one was bad.
No,
well,
that's
that's
Turtles in Time.
bad.
No, Turtles in Time's pretty good.
Okay, well, I saw that one as a kid, and my dad, because my dad's the one that introduced me to all this stuff, he's like, I wasn't a big Turtles guy. I told him the other day when he picked me up from the airport, I was like, how did you never show me the first one? And then that was his response. But I loved the first one. That was awesome. Casey Jones, his entrance and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great comics to film movie.
Yeah.
And
with the puppetry. Awesome.
The only thing about that movie that's just like, yee. I mean, the moment where I first noticed, it was like when Raph woke up after he gets knocked out, and then you see Donatello laughing, and then you can see the actor
inside of it. Yeah.
Like, oh my god. Oh my! Now, granted, I had seen Mac and Goo post that picture about a week ago, week prior,
so it was fresh in
and
your
then
mind.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I was looking for it. Yeah, there it was." But I like that a lot. I had not seen Into the Spider-Verse or Power Rangers yet. I'll tell you what. You talk about Homecoming being your favorite Spider-Man and everything.
Yeah,
that was my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. I think I would agree with you on that.
1,000%. I appreciated Peter B. Parker, but he's not necessarily my favorite Peter Parker because I don't. That's not my Peter Parker, a guy who's out of shape and past his prime and everything. But Miles Morales was awesome. I loved the sound. You must have loved that soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack was really good. All the allusions to the past Spider-Man movies, and comic books and everything else, like that was really well done.
Spider-Gwen was awesome. Honestly, I walked out of that and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I walked away from that thinking, at some point, I may want to read some Miles Morales stuff, and I may want to read some Spider-Gwen stuff.
Well, if you're going to get the Prowler in there as a villain, then that works out pretty well.
He was pretty awesome, too. I mean, I don't know if I want to necessarily go and read his stuff, but he was very well done as well.
And Spider-Ham is in the movie, right?
Spider-Ham was good, too. Spider-Man Noir. He'll be your favorite character. Did you see that yet or no?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
He'll be your favorite character when you watch that. Although Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And then my last thing was Power Rangers, Saban's Power Rangers.
Which one did you like more, Spider-Verse or Power Rangers?
Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Good call.
Last thing on Spider-Verse, it is my favorite animated film ever, period.
Yeah.
It's the way it's presented. That's how comic book animation needs. Like if it hits the theaters, it has to be done that way from now on.
Set the bar. I agree.
The little in between moments were like my favorite thing because just like the little tap thing is like, oh my god, this is the animation that I see in a book. It's all coming to life right here. But I did really like that Power Rangers movie a lot. I enjoyed some of the. I think the soundtrack was all right. I think there were some good callbacks to the show that we watched as kids.
Right.
I liked Kimberly. I mean, I'm always going to like Kimberly.
Of course.
I appreciate her cameo and Tommy Oliver's cameo as well.
Right.
And, my least favorite character was probably Jason in the course of the Power Rangers. I liked Zach a lot. I liked Billy a lot. Trini was fine. But the other three, I think, were my favorites. But Wes, what have you been watching? What's been on your mind lately?
Well, I finally got around to seeing Creed 2, which I enjoyed. Not a Ryan Coogler film, so it's not, picking up from where Creed was on the first time around. So, but I liked it. So this is pretty much a direct sequel to Rocky 4, more so than Creed 1. And I actually come away like feeling sympathetic towards Victor Drago, Ivan's son.
Really?
Yeah, because it plays up this whole thing where like Ivan was disgraced by his wife Bridget Nielsen and the Russian the Russian government, and he's like exiled to the Ukraine. and this is his way to kind of get back into the good graces of the country, is with his like stud son beating, Donnie Creed there, and it ends up, obviously not working out in that favor, and then they're once again disgraced by his mother and his, former wife and the Russian government, and they're just left being alone, and it's just like a father and son just being together again. And that's like the end of the movie. And I'm like, really feel bad for him, and never at any point, other than being told that this is the enemy because he's fighting the protagonist in the movie. There's nothing else in the movie that makes you really hate Victor Drago. He's really just a badass fighter.
I haven't seen Creed 2, but I'll tell you that when I saw Rocky 4, I saw it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw it in the theater, I was... When did that come out? Like
late
87,
80s?
88. So I was probably like 9, 10 years old. And, at that age, I hated Drago.
Yeah.
You just did, because you were taught...
He was a Russian,
you were taught that,
American,
and he was just the embodiment of the bad guy. But then going back and watching it when I was a few years older, you feel bad for him as well in that film, because you realize like he doesn't want to be this machine.
No,
they're just forcing him to be this machine.
And even his most famous line, I think it gets misconstrued, where he says, "I will break you." I don't think he says that.
He says, "I must break you."
Which is interesting. It's like he doesn't have a choice in the matter.
That's the Mandela effect,
and
for sure.
Right.
Absolutely. And when he says,
wow.
but what's the other big line that he has in that movie?
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. And it's almost, you make it sounds like he's a heartless bastard when he says it, but it's almost like when you go back and you watch it, it's what's been bored into his brain.
Right. Yeah. And a lot can be said about that with Victor. So I don't know. Good movie. Other one I wanted to get to real quick. Triple Frontier, 2019 Netflix release. It's on Netflix right now, starring Oscar Isaac, Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy fame.
Yes, sir.
Garrett Hedlund, who I had to do a little bit of research on, but he was the fullback who fumbled all the time in the Friday Night Lights movie with Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh.
And he was also Archangel, I believe, or Angel in X-Men Apocalypse.
Okay.
So yeah, he's all, and Pedro Pascal, of course, from Game of Thrones fame. He was the Southern Prince who was just got killed by the Mountain. Yes, Prince Oberyn.
I loved Oberyn, man.
But anyway, so quick
when he
synopsis.
died, I was like, what?
Oh, it's great, right? One of the great moments there.
You idiot.
Former Special Forces operatives reunite to plan a heist in a sparsely populated multi-border zone of South America for the first time in their prestigious careers. These unsung heroes undertake the dangerous mission for themselves instead of the country, but when events take an unexpected turn and threaten to spiral out of control, their skills, loyalties, and their morals are being pushed to a breaking point in an epic battle for survival. It's getting 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Star-studded cast. Ben Affleck plays a great a-hole in this. Like, once again, I feel like he's really good at playing like a smug a-hole. So I feel like that's just who he is.
Yeah.
Star-studded cast though, kind of has a feel of Lone Survivor, that Mark Wahlberg movie.
Okay.
Again, but I watched it last night, and it was but it had like a certain level of like realness to it. That's kind of what I mean with it.
Oh.
And you're kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. They're kind of on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was like real sense of realness to it, and I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Which do you recommend both to people?
Creed 2 and Triple Frontier, yes.
And which, if you could pick one for this weekend coming up for someone, which would you recommend?
Triple Frontier.
Triple Frontier. Okay.
Yeah, unless you like a good, workout montage or something. You've got a little spring cleaning coming on, or want to get back into the gym.
If I had to pick one between my three, I would probably recommend Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
to everybody. Unless you're not into animation, then I'd honestly probably recommend TMNT. I think that most people would have fun with that one. One quick thing though, off of your Drago thing, the fact that he was exiled to the Ukraine made me think of every time I hear Ukraine. And are you a Seinfeld fan?
I'm a fan of Seinfeld, yeah.
Tim, you are, obviously.
The
right?
Ukraine?
Yes, okay. Whenever the Ukraine. I come from the Ukraine. Ukraine, no week. How about I take your game and smash? Every time I hear Ukraine, I think of Risk and that.
Yeah.
But last, before we get going, we have our 2v1 that we've been doing every week. This one, we unleashed prior to our bye week.
Yeah.
And it was in light of Captain Marvel getting, an MCU character getting her own lead, her own lead in a movie. So this week's battle would be who's going to protect you against against two other characters. We have Electra, Black Widow, and Harley Quinn, all on a similar playing field in terms of what they bring to the table as fighters, strength, and whatnot. Wes, who are you taking between those three to defend you from the other two?
Well, there's two characters that are very similar, in my opinion, in my estimation, and one that kind of stands out above the rest. I can't trust Black Widow and Harley Quinn. Black Widow's a spy. Harley Quinn is just batshit crazy.
Uh-huh.
I have to go with Electra on this one.
I am stunned.
Because either one's going to...
I get it. Stunned with Electra.
Yeah. No, I'm legitimately...
Black Widow and Harley Quinn, they're going to double-cross me at some point in time.
You think Black Widow... Okay. You think Black Widow, where we see her in the MCU, she's going to double-cross you?
She did so in Civil War.
I'm talking him into this because I'm pissed because I would pick Electra in the course of all this.
This is
the second time in a row.
She's very attractive.
Who, Electra?
Yeah.
Well, of course she is. But so
either iteration.
I think all three of them are.
Oh, well, yeah.
If we're really going to split hairs. They most,
I'm a brunette guy, though.
That was... Okay, yeah, I guess Scarlett Johansson's a redhead in the course of everything. God damn, dude. I'll argue with your logic.
We have a different reason behind it. Yeah.
Well, I think that Electra is the superior fighter in the course of all this. And it comes down to that. And look, don't get me wrong. Harley Quinn will kill them on your behalf. Black Widow, she might, I guess, if she has to, but I'm sure she would try and avoid that as much as she can. But the fact that you think that Black Widow's not going to trust you in the course of this all.
No, I can't trust her.
That you're not going to trust her. I'm kind of stunned by that.
Well, there's the issue with Black Panther in Civil War where she's playing on both sides and she gives the tase darts at the end. She's like, I'd help you get to this point. Never said I'd.
Okay, then let me throw this wrinkle in there. You hire this person and they will protect, like they're compelled by some spell to protect you.
I'd probably still go with Electra. Because like you said, she is the superior fighter.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, but I agree with it.
Okay.
And it's not often.
You're not a big Electra fan, though, I don't think.
No. I think one of the things I liked most from the Defender series was Electra.
Oh, okay, fair enough. She was great in that series. Tim, actually, to go back to last week before we get Tim's opinion, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, Tim and I both agreed on MacGruber, though you wanted to walk that back a little bit. Is that right?
Well, I just remember that he has a tendency to turn on his friends.
Okay, so kind of the Black Widow effect there.
Okay.
Would you go with MacGruber, or it's also Johnny English, which I feel like no one would go with Johnny English, or Austin Powers?
I might go Mr. Bean if that was on the table, but that's since it's not.
This is dumb luck. Would help you
well, what are the other characters? Like they all have dumb luck. Don't they? MacGruber maybe not, but
I'd probably go with MacGruber as well.
Just because you want to hang out with him.
Yeah, I think we'd have a good time.
Yeah, I was.
And that one scene, that sex scene that he has with Kristen Wiig, and at the end, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna spill it." It gets me in stitches every time.
Will Forte is an underrated comic genius.
He plays like the straight man very well. Then he drops like that little piece of nugget on you.
We have to so for our followers on Twitter at Change My Mind Pod, we got to make sure that now everybody knows just because Wes is tweeting out gifs of certain characters does not mean that's who he's going to pick.
It's all misdirection, my friend.
You've thrown me off twice.
Yeah.
I am blown away by the Electra pick. Who are you picking between those three, Tim?
Which Harley Quinn are we getting in this?
I was doing the DCEU one, but do you want the Batman animated series one? Do you want?
No, because that would be the one that I would actually want the least.
Okay, makes sense.
I would, I would definitely. I think, you know what? I think I would take Harley Quinn because the victory celebration would be so much more fun than with the other two.
You slide dog.
I like it when they're crazy and have daddy issues.
Oh wow! Yeah, well, you heard it straight from the mouth there, Tim. I got to circle back to the first question of the podcast. Name of your autobiography. You had an hour to think on it, sit on it.
He didn't think about it.
I like them when they're crazy and have daddy issues. The Tim Weisberg story.
Oh wow, that's a follow-up to Tucker Max's novel. I hope they serve beer in hell.
Oh yeah, it's just
no?
I don't know who Tucker Max is, but I've heard of that novel.
That's
what about Ross Patterson's novel? At night she cries while he rides his steed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, if you guys don't know Ross Patterson, we're going to do a Ross Patterson episode.
I think we're going to have to.
We'll get Ross Patterson to be on the show.
Okay. All right. You might have to lead that discussion.
But as for next week, I think this will pick up from our bye-week blues.
Yes.
A little Parks and Rec breakdown.
Yes, sir. Parks and Rec, we're going to talk about I think I still have the notes in front of me.
It's your funeral, my man.
And it was going to be the top 10 characters from Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
And then after that, the next one we'll have time to watch Shazam, I think, right?
Oh, man, that's coming up, too. I'm excited for that one. That'll be a good one.
We got Shazam coming up, and then we got Infinity War not too far after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll have plenty. We have plenty left to get to in the course.
So you don't want my DC Universe password so you can watch the 70s Shazam?
Oh, no thanks. No.
God, Tim shared that with us on Facebook. Did you don't use Facebook really, right?
Not really, no.
He shared something with us on Facebook. It's the old Shazam show.
They've added it to the DC Universe app.
Oh, geez.
Dude, it is so brutal looking.
Is Flash Gordon, is he a part of the DC Universe?
I've never heard that before.
I don't think so.
Like the New York Jet?
I think he was
from
King,
Ted.
I know what you're talking about.
King Features was, I think, who put out the...
That was my walkout song my sophomore year of college.
Flash?
Flash Gordon. Yeah, it was also my worst year, too. Never again.
What's your go-to... No, we're going to say that for next week. We'll hold that up.
Sounds good. Do you want to list off where people can listen to us?
Yes, so you can find us on Spotify, on Spreaker, on iTunes, on Overcast, on Google Play, on Anchor, on Stitcher, on FM Player, Pocket Casts, or Geeks Worldwide on their SoundCloud and iTunes station. Is it a station on a site? I don't know.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You're good.
Get there. Where else
Podcast network.
Yeah, we got WBSM 1420 AM.
It's the only place you can watch us.
Watch us, yeah. That's true. Unless you get hooked up into my voyeur site, my Camversity site.
What's I don't know.
We'll explain to you off. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But if you want to see a little bit more of me, head over there and drop some donos, huh?
You can follow Wes on Twitter at Wesley Sykes _. There's no T in Wesley.
Yes.
And that also rhymes. I'm good like that.
Yeah, that's impressive.
You can find me on Twitter at Fry_Guy1. You can find Tim on Twitter at Tim Weisberg. And, of course, he has his podcast, Spooky South Coast, where they talk about, you guessed it, the paranormal.
It's good stuff.
And if you've been listening to us for a little bit, we see that we've been getting some ratings and reviews on iTunes and wherever else you listen.
Keep it up.
Please. We do appreciate it very much. It helps the show out. Lets us know.
Give you a firm pat on the back.
We know that it helps us know that there are people out there listening, that they like our content, and we will keep doing the things that we are doing.
Yes. We shall.
And I think that I keep forgetting that I have to end things.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Wes, before I start?
No, I think that's it. Be prepared to get your ass whooped next week.